But you should have lofty goals, right? They say shoot for the moon. That way you'll land, at least you'll land amongst the stars kind of thing. So cliche.
Yeah, and oddly enough, stars are way beyond the moon, so I don't get that. But um,
How's everything going? How's business?
good. We're exceeding our last year pretty quickly. We're not quite at our sales goals this year, but we're trying to double. So it takes a little bit of ramp up time to do that. And we just kind of got out of slow season anyways, so not a big deal if we don't hit those numbers in the beginning. But we're on track to do it now this year or this month.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So when you're forecasting that, are you taking like into account what the Christmas season is? Because that's like crazy, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, each month has its own sales goals based on, historical numbers. We find Q1 is really slow, comparatively. So, I see that as an opportunity to market better and all of that. But, that's kind of a project for next year. I'd say January and February are combined probably still less than like June in sales. So.
Oh, okay.
And then I think it's October, November, and December are our busiest months.
Yeah.
And they're like 4 times bigger. So
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. We have a big team, so it's okay.
Yes. And that's why I asked you to be on the podcast. I actually had somebody when I first started about a month ago. I asked for topic, what people wanted to hear about. And one of them was staffing. And I was like, I have to ask Jeff because he has the coolest team. For people that don't know, that you invited me to come out. Well, not just me, but a group of us from the cruise that we went on in January to come out and participate or just attend your showcase that you do. You do it once a year, or do you do more than that?
We do it once a year for now. Feel Famous. It's kind of our creative outlet. It allows us to develop products and show off what we can do. We're our own client, which a lot of times we're knocking our heads against a wall, just like having to deal with some of our clients. So it's really nice to be creative and get the whole team involved on it. So once a year for now, awesome. We're hoping to do more.
Sorry, I missed that.
I was just saying once a year for now, but we're hoping to do more.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I had a blast, by the way. I had it's interesting how you say that. It's like creative outlet, but it was also very interesting because of course we were showing up like trying to, grab all these ideas from you, but also it really brought back that love of being in the photo booth again,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, PBX does that too. But this was it was so different. It wasn't, I'm not there to look at equipment and see if it works or how it's going to work. But there I was able to enjoy it and be in the process. And it was really cool. And I met some really cool people there.
Did it make you feel famous?
I did. Especially I have it here somewhere. Oh no, it's in my car. The VIP badge. I have been bragging about that ever since. It's my favorite.
I saw those at PBX one year, and like the LED badges and stuff, and they were awesome. So we bought a ton of them. And we just added a little more to it, obviously. This year we did the AI, but last year we did custom name. So like they would just tell us their name. If we needed to know how to spell it, we asked them. We typed it in, and it looked like an autograph. So it was super cool.
That's
because
so cool.
It was just a Feel Famous theme.
I don't know why it's doing that.
I think I might have a slight delay.
No, I don't think so, but I think I have like an echo cancellation here. I've got it checked, so maybe I just need to not talk over you. All right, well, I'm going to jump into the questions if you don't mind.
No, not at all.
Can you share some insights into how you initially established and grew your photo booth business into the success that it is today?
So I always tell people I started the business just practicing my digital marketing skills. So I'm not a photographer, and even today I'm not a photographer. I'm the last person you'd ever ask to take a photo. It's pretty funny, but
Okay.
yeah, it's silly. Like whenever I go on vacation, I do not take photos. Everyone else does for me. But I built a photo booth website and I built a solar panel cleaning website. And a few months down the road, I just started getting a lot of requests for photo booths. So I was working on a tugboat at the time, and I bought a photo booth and I started doing events when I wasn't on the boat. And um, I didn't like being on the boat, so it really gave me a lot of drive and motivation to, fill in all of my weaknesses so I could be strong enough to, run this business on my own. So like my biggest fear was picking up the phone and calling, and also like just that type of sales. So I ended up taking the leap and quitting the tugboats, and I bought a secondary business. It was called Mountain Man, and you go door to door. And you sell snacks to offices. So way worse than picking up the phone because you like see them in their face. But I told myself, I was like, if I fail, then I have to get back on the tugboats. And they're all in Louisiana. They're Southern Louisiana people. I'm like from the North, so I was a Yankee and all this funny stuff. Like it's just culture clash. But that was my drive to push. And one booth turned into two, turned into four, and now we've got way too many to count.
I was going to say, how many do you have?
I don't know.
I think if you turn down my volume on your side, it won't do that muffly sound, I think. Just a little bit.
Huh.
That's better.
How's that?
I think that's better. Yeah.
Interesting.
What year did you start? What year was that you were working in the tugboats?
We started in 2014. So in 4 months, it's our 10th birthday.
Yay! Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I just celebrated my 12th on Sunday.
Oh, cool. Congrats.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
It was just such a weird day, like all these celebrations at one time. My kids, my twins, I have 4 boys. My third and fourth are twins, and they were born 19 years ago on the same day. And I shouldn't really count that as my anniversary, maybe because that's the day that I got the idea. But I kind of can, I celebrate it because it's the day that I got the idea. I went to a wedding and the rest was history. So
nice. There you go. It works.
Yeah. Awesome.
A lot of people. Oh, go ahead.
Nope, you're good. A lot of people.
I was gonna say a lot of people start their business before they get their equipment, anyways. So you can count that as your day one.
That's true. The smart people do that. I did not. I went and dove and right into the photo booth. But this just recently, because like I said, I've been doing this for 12 years, but I am not as like high up there because I was raising 4 boys, single mom, doing my full-time job. And, it was just as much as I wanted it to not be a side gig, it was. And I wasn't pricing it well. And, I was winging it and I wasn't connected. I wasn't going to PBX. So I didn't know that other people were charging a lot. I just, and then my kids are all grown. So now I'm able to connect with people like you and just implement all that stuff right into my business. However, I moved from Reading to here this last August. So what I did was I sold my old booths and I rebranded. And so I'm basically starting all brand new now.
Oh, wow.
With all the experience. So that's nice.
Yeah. You're starting over, but you know what you didn't know before, which is really important because that's the hardest part, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Not being able to just, call somebody or message someone and be like, how do you do this? I didn't have that for 11 years. And I was like, in my little small town, I was the head honcho. So it was kind of like I had my prices set above everyone else's, but there was just no way I could go any higher. So it was nice for me to move. And now I'm in Napa, which is, a lot more money and more events and things. And so it's exciting.
Yeah. It sounds like you have an opportunity to really grow your business now,
Yeah.
just from moving.
Yes, exactly. But my next step is, staffing. So I'm going to be asking you lots of questions. I'm ready. I'm enjoying doing all of the back end stuff. Like today I did all Breeze AI. I finally dove into that and tried to learn it thanks to Steve, who has
Mm.
a YouTube channel with amazing tutorial.
Oh, good to know.
Um, yeah, and he does it right in front of you, and he takes the pictures and shows you. I mean, it's just like, picture in picture. He's got it down. So it's really cool. But
Awesome.
yeah, so speaking of staffing, since it plays a crucial role in the service industry, how do you go about selecting and training your team to ensure excellent customer experiences?
Yeah, so we get most of our staff from Indeed or just from posting on Facebook, and all of our current staff's networks, our network, the internal teams networks. We kind of explain who we are, but we make the job sound a little bit worse than it is. That way, we're not like over promising and under delivering, and I think that really helps. It kind of just scares a lot of people away, but it filters them out. Is kind of the way we look at it. So from there, we get a group of people, we bring them into our offices, and we do a presentation with them. And the presentation is essentially our code of conduct. And in each of our different codes of conduct, I don't really know what that's called, but in each of the sections, we kind of paint a picture of something that could happen at an event or something that kind of does happen normally, just so they get a feel for what it looks like. Um, we from there after that, like presentation's over, and then we'll tell them that we're going to, like, we ask them if they have any questions or anything like that, and then when we're saying goodbye, we just tell them that we're going to send them a survey, if they want to move forward, to fill it out. So the reason why we do it that way is we don't want to have them tell us no to our face, because we feel like they probably won't. So we're giving them every opportunity we can for them to back out. Um, and then we bring them through training if they keep going. We're holding their hands for at least 5 events. And one of the things that I always say is this could be somebody's wedding. So we really can't be late. We can't call out. If you're mad at us, like, for whatever reason, like, don't do it to the bride. Like, let us find someone for them, kind of thing. So that's kind of how we handle it. And knock on wood, we've never had a no call, no show in 10
Yeah.
years. But if we had that used to be my biggest fear. So if we did have one, we do have processes in place to make sure that we're catching it before, someone ever notices. So that's good.
So are you hiring brand ambassadors, or are you actually hiring employees?
So we're hiring employees because legally that's what we have to do here in Colorado. They're part-time gig employees, and some of them get to full-time just from, requesting events and being great. But yeah, for tax purposes, they are W-2 employees. They
That's
clock in,
awesome.
they clock out, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. That's my goal. I want to provide jobs for people. I don't want to just do a brand ambassador. Like, I want a team that I can trust and
Mm-hmm.
that I know wants to make the event just as special as I do. Takes a
Definitely.
special kind of person. But I really like your approach of bringing them in and kind of showcasing, and rather than doing the regular interview, because that interview process has been around for decades, and it just doesn't work as effectively, I think, anymore, especially for photo booths anyway. I used to work for a nonprofit staffing agency. Um but yeah, it just doesn't work for photo booth. Like, you have to be there in the experience. And I love the fact that you kind of paint it as a negative thing, because most people look at it and go, that must be the funnest job ever. And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, until something goes wrong,
Yep.
then it's the
Yeah.
worst job ever.
From the perspective of my operations team that does all of, like, the scheduling and logistics and booth prep, like, I do tell them, like, we want to hold the attendants' hands, because we want to do all the stressing for them, essentially. That way, when they're on site, they're smiling and they're happy. So
Yeah.
I do get them a little scared in the beginning, but my ops team does a really good job, like making sure that it goes smoothly, and they train them really well and all of that. So, but when it comes to interviews, I would say during the training process is kind of our interview process. We have them go through 3 events, and we also have them set up and tear down the booth a few times at our warehouse. And those 3 events, they always have somebody with them. And the fourth one, if they're comfortable, and we test on the 3rd event, but if they're comfortable, then we have someone there, but not next to them, or basically sitting in their car, essentially.
Right.
But they have a dedicated tech support person that's ready for the next 2 events, just to make sure that they're good. Obviously, when we work with them for the first 3 events, we're seeing how they interact with people. We're making sure they're on time, they're dressed appropriately, they're following the SOPs, the code of conduct. And yeah, if they don't, then we give them a quick reminder. And if we're still in training and it's twice, then we just tell them it's not good.
That's pretty quick. And I've heard that, you have to hire quick and fire quick. So that's good.
Hire
so
slow
in a
and fire quick.
Oh, hire slow. That's right. My bad. So in a business like our photo booths businesses, where customer interaction is key, how do you maintain consistency and quality and service delivery across different staff members?
Yeah, so obviously there's the training initially, and then from there is quality assurance. We use a Slack channel, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with Slack or if you use it, but we have a specific channel it's called Event Photos. And in the description, we have a list of the photos that the staff are supposed to send. So they basically send us a text message through on that channel when they arrive to the event, when they get in touch with the point of contact, and then they send pictures of the prop table with the props on it, the full photo booth setup, a picture of the printed strip or whatever we're doing, back of the camera settings if we're using a DSLR or an M50 or something, and then the business cards and work with us cards that are on the printer. And then they send a screenshot of the digital share as well. So they'll send it to themselves and just take a screenshot and send it over. That way we can just triple check everything. But in the pictures, like the photo strip printout and things like that, it's actually a photo of them. So we can also make sure that they're wearing the right attire. Obviously we can't check on their pants, but we trust them to an extent. So
I like it. Do you have a dress code?
Yeah, we do. It's just black on black, primarily because we do a lot of white label events, but we also have logoed shirts that they can wear. We used to have a themed one, and we'd ask the client how we'd want how they wanted the attendance to dress, but it was too open for interpretation, I guess. And sometimes it just wasn't the right theme. So we just got rid of that recently.
Yeah, I like that. And sometimes you just, if you show up in a costume, you just look like the rest of the guests, So if somebody needs to know where the photo booth lady is or the photo booth guy, you're looking at a sea of creatures.
You're an elf or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Totally.
With the Slack channel, we do also, one thing I didn't mention that I want to make sure I mention is we also have times on everything. So if the event starts at 5 p.m., then at the absolute latest, they should be getting those pictures sent in by 4:30. And that 30 minutes that we give them is really just we just want them to stand around, essentially, interact with people walking by, open the booth early, whatever it is. But we want to make sure that if something were to go wrong, our tech support team has time to help them with everything. So that's kind of how we ensure that.
So what do you, when you arrive at an event, I know it always depends on how many activations you're doing and all that, but for the newbies who are just starting out doing their regular 3 to 5 hour DSLR or iPad, if that's what you're doing, how much time do you allow your attendants to set up?
So a standard attendant who's been trained, we give them 90 minutes, but it should only take 45. And then they have that 15-minute buffer which puts them 30 minutes before the event, which is when those photos should be sent at the latest. If they're still in training, we give them 2 hours. If they're downtown, we also give them 2 hours just in case. So if you're a trained staff, we'll give you 2 hours for a downtown event. But we also buy their parking. We reserve it so they know exactly where to go. It's just because you never know with load in or traffic because of a baseball game or something like that. We do try to keep track of a schedule, and like if there's a baseball game or like any holiday parades or anything, we try to keep that on our radar. But time is our best friend when it comes to events, so we're always erring on the side of caution.
Next question is, managing operations efficiently is essential. Could you describe your approach to scheduling and coordinating your staff? I mean, we were already in getting into that, but I mean, like, how do you decipher who's going to do what?
Yeah, so we currently are a little archaic, and we use a spreadsheet to know who knows what equipment and what products, but we are kind of looking for a new CRM that will allow us to build a profile for each of our employees. But in the meantime, just a big spreadsheet for knowing who knows what equipment, what experience they have on it, because we have so many different products. From there, we do give them the opportunity to request events in our current CRM. And they just go in and, they can see the details, they see where it is, they see the times and the locations and all of that fun stuff. And then my operations manager gets a ping, and he either approves it or he declines it based on, a number of things. One of them is if they know how to do the equipment or not. And then there are events that just nobody signed up for. We'll shoot a message in the general Slack channel 2 weeks before. That way we can get it scheduled at least a week before. And if still nobody reaches out, then we individually reach out to each of our staff, asking them if they want to work. And lastly, if for some reason nobody wants to work, then we do have an internal operations team that would have to pick it up. So we have 4 coordinators that prep all the booths, but they're all trained knowing that they have to work events if needed. So if someone were to call out last minute and we didn't have a backup, it would be one of our internal staff. That also helps with last minute bookings as well.
That's amazing. I love that idea. Having that
was
stability.
Me building. That was me building redundancies so I never have to work an event again. So basically, we hire 1.5 times the amount of staff that is in our busiest day. So if in a quarter, so let's say May 15th, which is tomorrow, we need 12 people. We try to hire 18 that are trained and ready to go for that day, just in case people call out or they're unavailable or whatever it is. Or last minute events, because limiting factor is not our equipment, it's always people. So we try to keep that many on staff. And then when a busy weekend is coming up and it is fully staffed, we still ask our staff, hey, are you available for any last minute events that pop up? If there's nobody available, then we prepare, because it's inevitable that somebody's going to get into a car accident, family issue, whatever that looks like. Or we get a last minute event, because we've definitely booked those day of events. So it's nice to already have somebody ready instead of scrambling and then missing the opportunity.
Absolutely. I raised 4 boys in my business, and now they're all grown. They don't want to work for me.
Yeah, that's a blessing and a curse, I guess.
Yeah, but if I give the right price, they'll do it.
Nice.
And if they're in need,
Totally, yeah.
And I have loved, having my business with my kids and all that, but it's such a different dynamic when it's employees than it is your own kids. My poor children, I've yelled at them so much. How could I ever have employees? I just yell at them all the time.
But you start with family, and then you learn what you need to be able to teach. And then from there, you hire real staff. And then your family becomes your backup and your emergency plan,
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for, my backup. But it was funny. One of my sons came down to visit. They live about 3 hours away, and came down to visit yesterday for just 30 minutes. And I said, do you like my new photo booth? I set up the new min booth here. And he was like, yeah, but I don't want to work it. That's the first thing he said.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, but I don't want to work it. So
Min
funny.
booths are nice. That's a
Yeah,
good
they
one.
are.
Those were some of my first booths.
Oh, right on. That was,
Mhm.
well, my first booth was the openair.com photo booth. I think I told you that before. Do you remember that? Those?
No.
They're the big, like DJ case. I forget what they're
Like
called.
the
Flight
road
cases.
cases.
Yeah, the
Yep.
road cases, one on top of the other. And it was great because it lasted forever. But I think I hear something on your end.
That's a train. You can see it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I'm like, what is that? But no, I had it, and they last forever, and they're well protected because they're in those padded cases. But they are huge, and that was
Hmm.
the biggest thing is you're lugging around 100-pound, cases all the time. And if you're going up the stairs and there's no elevator, it's basically a mirror booth. And so when I went to
Yeah.
PBX in 2023, then I met, Min and Lap, and I started hearing the rumblings of Min booth, and I was like, that might be the one for me. But I wasn't, I was gonna get a Danny Max if that was the one available, but it just so happened in the right timing when I was ready to buy, they were available. So
Yeah, I
I like
have.
it.
Yeah, they're great. I like Danny Max booths for shipping. So we ship those booths and we fly with those
Oh,
booths.
okay.
And so we're getting a fleet. We we bought 5. Um and they're amazing for that because they're so light and they have like a min booth, they
Yeah.
have the printer table kind of built in too. It's just made out of a lighter material. But in Denver we use a lot of min booths and PBSEO legacies, and one other kind. I can't think of the name. And then we make our custom ones too, like our vintage cameras and
Oh,
stuff.
cool. Oh, right on. I don't
Yeah.
think I saw the vintage ones there. Which ones do you remember which activations had them, or did they
We
have
didn't
them?
have it there. Everybody knows that we have those, and we really wanted to stay on the theme this year. And the vintage
Yeah,
camera, just there was no way we could tie it into the futuristic feel of Mansion on the Moon this year.
that's
So
true because it is vintage. So there you go.
it,
The
it could
opposite
have
direction.
Yeah, exactly. Like it could have possibly have been in the VIP area. That was like the Explorers Lounge thing.
That was so
But it would
cool.
have needed a little bit of work. So,
I loved it. I mean, like, I would love to paint a picture for people, especially in that lounge where they had like the coffee or the espresso machine, and then on the top you had it like burnt with your brand and everything. Not burnt, but
yeah, it's a coffee printer essentially, and
so cool.
yeah, the secret to success, besides how amazing that event is we branded it. We gave it a name. So many of our clients are corporate clients that want brand activations. So we're trying to brand everything in a classy way. And
Yeah.
we don't want it to be all like a walking billboard or something. We want to do it the right way. So yeah, we had to do the espresso martinis and put Feel Famous logo on there.
I mean, that was so cool. I didn't want to drink it because I was like, look at this. I just took a picture. It was awesome. But there was so much more, like such attention to detail with the $100 bills. I thought I was actually getting $100 bills until someone pointed it out. It was fake, and I was like,
Oh no.
no.
You want to hear a funny story, real quick? A short story, but somehow one of those got into my pocket. Like this was like 3 years ago, and I gave it to my sister in a Christmas card. And she is like this super shy, like 24 years old girl, like never does anything wrong kind of thing. And she tried to use it because she didn't know, and like she shouldn't get in trouble, but like the manager came at like a Subway or wherever she was and like terrified her. And I felt so bad, and she didn't tell me about it because she thought I was trying to play a trick on her, and I never intentionally did it. So I felt so bad. I like pulled $100 bill out and gave it to her.
Aw.
She didn't want it though. She was like, "This is another fake one."
Yeah. She's like, I don't trust you anymore. Never give me money. That's
Oh, she
funny.
never trusted me. That was just unintentional, so I didn't even get to enjoy it as much as I could have.
Yeah, that's tough. If it's intentional, you get to sit back and be like waiting for it.
Yeah, and I can
That's
take
fun.
credit for it. I didn't even take credit for that one. I wasn't mentally
Yeah.
prepared to be that person that day.
So funny. Well, we were talking about, your activations and things, and what kind of strategies do you employ to keep your photo booth offerings fresh and appealing to your customers? And how do your staff contribute to that?
So yeah, our strategies for staying innovative starts with my creative team. So we have a team that I initially hired exclusively to innovate, and it was a slow start. So it was just like money being invested, not seeing a return. Not a big deal though, because we were doing so well financially, like it was what it was kind of thing. And then they started to learn all of the softwares and get in, like learn new skills and stuff. And so we have 3 staff now. It started off with 1 staff, and they sit in their little cave at our office warehouse space, and they make the coolest stuff. Um,
Oh,
and it's awesome. So that's one way we do it. Another way is our sales team. So all of our salespeople like to be creative, but they don't want to be creative for a living. So they'll get an idea, they'll kind of help mock it up, and make sure that it gets pushed through. And so my sales team just kind of gets ideas from other or from clients that are wanting things. And then the on-sites typically, like our on-site staff, if guests ask about anything, they usually report back, or they'll just like send us things on TikTok that they see. um, and those are the ways the staff get involved. And then some other ways is just like, I'm not a trendy person personally, but I like to follow trendy things to see the next, like, what the next cool thing's going to be. Kind of like how the Vogue booth was so big, and then all of a sudden now it's a product, or the glam bot and all of that. So just always kind of keeping an eye out. Um, it could even be photographers that I like to follow that do something really cool, and we just find a way to incorporate it into an event. It has to be instant and things like that. My one of my employees had an idea for like a solar eclipse photo shoot. And then the solar eclipse was coming here in Colorado. It was like pretty strong. It wasn't like the best one, but it was still pretty good. So one of our clients wanted to do it, and he already had it like in his back pocket, and he was ready to go with it. So
that's
um,
cool.
yeah, they just whenever they don't have client work now, they're creating portfolios of experimental things, and so you probably saw a lot of that at Feel Famous as well.
Yeah, I love the creative process. Like you're saying, some people don't really enjoy being creative for a living, but once in a while they get ideas. I am an
Yep.
idea machine, but I don't implement every idea. I mean, it's just like they just come constantly, and I'm like, how would I even think about doing that? But that's really cool. I would love to be in that room. Maybe next time I come to visit, I'll spend some time with your creative team just to
Yeah,
soak in the juices.
I think we're starting planning in August, so
Oh, right
that's when
on.
you'll have to come.
Yeah. Um, so let me see. Employee satisfaction is vital for retention and performance. How do you foster a positive work environment? You've kind of touched on that a little bit, but relationship wise, how do you keep a positive work environment, especially with creative geniuses clashing and whatever going on?
Well, that part's hard, but when it comes to our on-sites, it's easier because the person who hires them and trains them and schedules them, that's all the same person. So it's kind of our operations manager, and he's like our manager of attended success, essentially. So they report to him. And we have it just keeps everything really clear on who they're supposed to report to, so they're not getting pinged by me or by like my creative person or by the salespeople. It's one person, and it just makes it easy. We know how to set expectations with our code of conduct. That's really important. And we do throw events. So in the summertime, we have a tiki party, which is really fun. Everyone who's old enough gets a MiHi Mai Tai, which is not that delicious, but one day it will be when I'm done mastering it. And last year we had like fire dancers on the beach. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, so we do that. We do trades with a lot of like restaurants and venues and stuff in Denver. So we'll use those for giveaways, or we'll just take people out like little groups at a time. We have an escape room coming up in 2 weeks. Feel Famous is obviously huge. Everybody wants to go to that. And we're also like, we're just a cool brand. Like people want to work for MiHi in the local area when they hear about us and when they see the things we do. It's it's fun because like they want to be a part of it. They've heard of us without ever talking to us, which is cool too. So they're just proud of being part of that group. And then we're always trying to promote from within as well. So all of our attendants start out in training and then their normal attendance, and then they go to All Star. We give them a really nice jacket. It's a Under Armour jacket that's branded All Star with Feel Famous on it. They All Stars also get to travel, so they'll travel to events that we do, which is super fun. Like we have one guy who he's never in town anymore. He's just bouncing from one city to the next, and he takes his girlfriend with him, and he's showing her the world, kind of thing, and he loves it. So so it's just so many different opportunities. We keep it exciting for them. We're always growing and adding new products. So they just kind of get to be part of our story.
So you're saying that when you say that they travel, are you covering the entire United States or the world or what?
So we do for certain clients, I guess. So we have clients that we hold really near and dear to us, and we just could never sub it out to anybody else. But it's a combination of subbing work out and flying our own staff out.
Yeah, and you do a lot of white labels too, right? I know that Nick Bernardo. I almost said Nick Rhodes, got the wrong Nick. Nick Bernardo did the headshots for you here in Oakland, and I went and got my headshot from him, which was under your business. Yeah. Just went and hung out. Yeah, see how it's going. It's pretty cool. I love that. I love that we all get to work together in that type of business model and learn from each other. It's really important.
Yeah, I think, overall as an industry, we have a lot of potential. And I think that when we work together, we're all elevating each other. And that reflects really well on these people with big dollars that they want to spend on marketing things. And so if we can constantly show them innovation and things like that, then, they're not going to go buy their own equipment, because we've had people that want to do that. And so we're constantly like trying to explain to them, like, don't buy your own photo booth. It's not worth it. There's so much that goes into it. So yeah, I think that it's always important to try not to stay ahead of other boothers, but to stay ahead of people who are just trying to go buy a booth so they don't have to hire other boothers.
Yeah, that's true. You get people have I was talking about this with Mike Bender on my last episode, was, like government and big entity style, people with money or corporations with money, they have huge marketing teams. And so it's like, one person gets that idea of like, oh, we can just get our own photo booth and then we can do it on the back end. And it's like, you have no idea how much employee time that you're eating up just to do one activation, let alone all the activations. It's like you really are you actually are saving more money and time, by hiring outside of the organization. They just don't know that because, like today I spent, I don't know, 6 hours trying to figure out, not that long, maybe a few hours. Well, I was doing SnapPick AI and then I switched over to Breeze. So all day I've been educating myself on AI. And it's like, if you're going to have a company that goes and takes on a photo booth, you need to probably hire 3 or 4 more people just to, learn it.
There's a lot that goes into it. Yeah.
It really is. People just don't understand that. And that's why I think that people end up pricing so low too, is because it's just this idea like, oh, I'm just going to get a photo booth and put it in, set it up somewhere. And
that's all it is.
I'll just charge $149 for the whole thing because I was getting paid $15 an hour at my old job. So, but then it's like, that's why I love having you on the podcast, because then it's like people get to see when you actually make a profit, then you do get to hire employees, and you do get to throw showcases, and you do get to have creative teams, and you get to call your, all-stars and send them on their trips. And, it's people just don't understand that that's what we're in this business, is to make money.
Yeah.
And
No,
you're the prime
that's so
example of
true.
it. I'd love it.
I mean, but I remember when I was a single operator and I was charging like $600, and I was so excited every time I did that because I was like, yeah, that's another $500 in my pocket kind of thing. And I guess it's great if you only have one booth, but once you start adding more people, like you can't scale at low prices essentially.
Yeah.
Because I can work every single day with one booth and myself, but I don't like working events anymore. I haven't done it in years. And I mean, I could, but I make more money hiring a bunch of people and letting them be creative and fun and love their job. And they do that type of work now. And my internal team does the sales, and the other part of the team does my operations, and we have creative, and we have direction with where we want the company to go, and we're all proud of what we're building. And that to me it's way more exciting than having to work a job, because it would be a job if I had to work an event every day on top of selling and doing the graphics and maintaining my equipment and all of that stuff. So now I support my team. That's what I do.
It's awesome.
And
I love it.
yeah.
So inspiring, just,
Thank
and
you.
I think the reason why I say that is because I did this for 11 years on my own. I mean, obviously I had my kids, but I couldn't scale, not with the prices that I was at, and where I was at, I didn't even have the knowledge or understanding that, I could expand. But also on top of that, like, I didn't want to travel because I was taking care of my kids and doing all the things. So it was just kind of like being in a rut. But I also think that I just didn't believe that photo booths could be a big business. I really didn't.
I always say, as long as whenever an iPhone is being released, they talk about the camera, we're good. As long as social media is around, we're good. That's what
True.
I always say. And I mean, yeah, these cameras are getting better, but that just means we have to get smarter. We have to create
Yeah.
better experiences. We have to create cool sets or more immersive things, or not, or we can stick with doing this and it's fine, because people want the photo booth experience and they want the fast printing, or they want the overlay on it or something. I think the market's going to be around for so long.
Oh my God. It's only
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to overtalk you again, but since, 2023 and PBX that I went to, and really my mind was just blown, and, the belief system, my mindset was just shifting, shifting, shifting. Our industry is still filled with moms and pop stores. We're just small businesses. No corporation has really come in, not even Canon, which is amazing to me. Canon and Nikon, like they easily could come in and try to fight whatever, or try
I
to
thought they
whatever.
did.
But oh, did they?
I'm pretty
Oh, I
sure
could be
it's
wrong.
Canon, but it was in the Consumer Electronics Show or something. They had like a photo booth.
Oh, interesting. I didn't
Yeah,
know. I'll
it
have
was
to check
a few
that
months
out.
ago it was launched. And it's
Huh.
like, it's a
Oh,
little
only a few months.
scary, but it's not
Okay.
too scary.
Okay. Well, that was just a few months ago. I was thinking
Yeah.
back in 2023 when I first,
Okay.
had my mind blown by this. Was our industry is literally in its infancy, if not toddler stage, and it's like there's so much room for growth. There's so much room for support to photo boothers. I mean, which is why I'm starting the podcast and this educational platform, is because I really want to give people who are just starting out an actual guide to where I'm at now, basically, which is where my mindset shift is. But that's why I'm having people like you on here, is because it's a prime example of, what we can attain to. But not only that, you still have massive room for growth too, right?
Definitely. Yeah, I've got goals to triple my size in 3 years. So actually, no, 5 times my size in 3 years right now.
Wow. And
Yeah.
you're confident that you're going to get there? Or that's a reaching goal, right? A real.
Yeah. I'm a little nervous, but also I think that some of our new things that we have up our sleeves are going to help us achieve our numbers that we're trying to hit. So
That's awesome.
yeah. But yeah, it's a lofty goal for sure.
Yeah. But you should have lofty goals, right? They say shoot for the moon. That way you'll land, at least you'll land amongst the stars, kind of thing. So cliche.
Yeah, and oddly enough, stars are way beyond the moon, so I don't get that, but um
You'll land on the surface of the earth.
yeah.
Which might
No,
not
it,
be
it
good.
should be shoot for the stars so you land on the moon. But I don't think it
Yes,
is that.
that
I think
makes
it's
sense.
shoot for the moon. But yeah, this is actually the first year that I set goals that we actually may not hit. And it's because I feel like I was setting myself short every time. I'd rather slightly fail than, not push as hard as we could.
I
So we'll
love
see.
that.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, because if if you say, for example, like 500,000 this annually this year, and you made 250, I'm not, I'm just throwing numbers for people, is at least if you go for 500,000, if you hit 350 or 400, it's not a terrible thing, but if you only set
Yeah,
your goal for 350, then you're not giving yourself, that extra jaunt, so to speak.
the only thing to worry about is when when you build goals, you should also build a budget. So make sure that if you don't hit your goals, you're not going over budget because then you're not making any money.
Yes. Speaking of budgets and things, how do you, when it comes to like props and buying other things, what is your strategy on like, how do you earmark money? Say you want to buy, a glam bot. How do you earmark that money? Do you have, like do you set your deposits aside or?
So we build a budget that, a chart of accounts with a budget for everything, equipment, breakage, materials such as media, let's say, essentials kits, which are all of the things that you need for an event, like all the extra cords and things like that, innovation, company culture, growth, warehouse rent, all of that stuff. And then, we add it all up. We make sure that there's still a decent amount of profit, not to be greedy, but in case we mess up and, we don't sell as much as we thought we were going to or something. That's our buffer, essentially. Obviously, salaries are in there as well. And then we make sure that our monthly goals kind of coincide with our budget. So we have a year goal, a year budget, and then we break it down monthly because, like I was saying before, January and February, there's not much revenue that comes in. So if we spend equally month over month, we're going to be in the hole quite a bit in January and February. So we kind of like go on a little bit of a spending freeze in the first few months. We try to at least. And we're just kind of on like almost like preservation mode in a sense. And then when things really start picking up is when we'll buy everything.
That's so smart because I know, based on my own experience when I first started and those first few years is when I would find myself in a position, usually January, February, March. Sometimes January can be really busy. I'm not saying that it's not, every year, but I would find myself, oh, I'm not booking events. I need to buy more props or I need to do this and I need to showcase that, which is good. You want to take that time to kind of reevaluate and learn and, soak in all that. But the spending part can get crazy.
Oh yeah, it definitely can. I would say if you get to that point, marketing is usually the best place to put your dollars.
I like it.
So that's really important, I think. That's what I used to do when we were slow is I would work on my SEO and, behind the scenes, if I'm not busy working, this was back when I first started. If I'm not busy working events, working for the business, then I'm working on the business. And when I get to a point where I couldn't work on the business that often is when I started hiring people because if I never worked on it and I only worked for it, we would plateau. So that's how
Yeah.
I hired my first internal staff, who was a salesperson. and she took all my sales away, which was amazing. She assisted with marketing, creating graphics and things like that. And it allowed me to focus more on making sure the products that were going out were top notch and developing new things as well. And also supporting with sales. But yeah, that's how we did it.
I love that. You're the first person that said that sales was the first hire that you've done. Usually people will hire for, to take over the event, like a brand ambassador, photo booth attendant, but you went straight for
Yeah,
sales.
that was my first. So I break them up as like on-sites and then internal staff. So I did have like one or two on-sites, and then I got my first salesperson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because
So,
you can do.
I mean,
Go ahead.
go ahead. Nope.
I was gonna say you can prep like, I don't know, 5 events for a weekend, 6 events for a weekend, or something like that with one person
Yeah.
that's also doing sales and graphics. Like that's a little busy, but throughout the week it's not that busy, so you kind of like prep for it accordingly. Anything beyond that, though, it was too much work to work the event, prep the event, sell the event, just like, and doing a few a week is hard for one person. So getting someone in who can answer the phone and pick up the phone really helped make sure that there was still a push for sales when you had to prep all the equipment and, figure things out, because we still we're figuring out what backdrops we needed, what props we needed, and things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I mean, that's all the questions that I have, but are there any like tips or tricks of the trade that you want to share with our listeners?
I mean, I could go off forever with that. So I was going to ask you kind of where you're at in your spot. It sounds like you're probably looking to hire your first couple on-sites.
Well, I actually just had my very first event here in Napa on Sunday, which I was going to say that was another. Thank you. It was actually not a hired event. I approached because I'm having a little bit of a difficulty with my pricing now, because I have gone up, and I'm higher than everybody around here who is already established. But I'm not too much higher, but I do offer, like a lot more and a lot more experience. But I'm being more strategic about my marketing. I'm not doing pay-per-click. I don't want just any client off the street. I'm looking to build actual relationships with people. What I did was I approached this. So on a Sunday, I was walking downtown Napa. We have First Street, which is like a ton of restaurants. We got Anthropology. We've got Lululemon, some high-end home stores, etc. But it's like that street is pretty busy on the weekends. And so on like a month ago on a Sunday, I walked down the street and this place called Wine Girl had, it was Sunday morning. They were having a brunch. And I found out later that it was sponsored by Veuve Clicquot. So terrible. It's like a really high-end champagne, the orange bottle one.
Huh, okay.
Very high-end luxury, whatever, $50 a bottle minimum. And so, and them and Moet, they were sponsoring a brunch for them. And it's a place called Wine Girl. And it's like, you walk in there, they've got neon signs, they've got the grass walls, they've got swings with flowers on them. And, everything's branded, it says Wine Girl over it. And so that day I walked by and it was just like bumping music, and it really caught my attention. And I had been looking to really partner with people, and I just walked in there like the next week and I said, I don't know what you guys had going on, last Sunday, but I want to be a part of it. And I want to set my photo booth up because I need content to market to other people. And I would love to partner with you guys long term. And they're, talking about the events and stuff. We do Bottle Rock out here too, which is like a music festival. It's happening next weekend. And so I've been trying to get in with people. So I did. They had a Mother's Day brunch, and I went and I just dropped off my booth, and I put, I branded it with their Wine Girl on there and everything, and it was a huge hit. And now they want to partner, and that's
awesome.
That's kind of where I'm at. Is I'm not looking to just have the one-off events. I really want to build relationships with clients, and have that trust and repetitiveness, you know?
Definitely. I think that's important. And, our approach is we take it all as long as
Yeah.
they have the budget for us, kind of thing. But that's because the company fuels creativity. So, it's a tool for us to get those clients here and there that we just absolutely love. And if we don't get them for a while, we'll do our own stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
it's
that's kind
similar.
of where I'm at. I'm just, I did take a long sabbatical. I sold my house back in July, moved out here July to August, and I moved out here in August, and just lived off the equity of my house that I sold for a while because I had raised 4 boys on my own and just really needed a break. And so I
Mhm.
went to a bunch of concerts. I went traveling. I went on a cruise. Went to Denver, did a bunch of things that I would not normally have thought would have been, smart for me to spend my money on when I was raising kids. And so after PBX, and it felt like every month I was going somewhere and it was taking a lot of energy from me. And I was like not in a position to promote my business anymore. And so finally after PBX, I'm like, it's time. Like I got to get it going. So now I'm just doing it more strategically. I wouldn't not take people, but there here in the Bay Area, there's so many photo booth companies. And if people just want something for a wedding or a birthday, it is better for them to spend less money for someone else.
Yeah,
You know?
totally. I
So
think,
here is like brand activations and stuff. And there are people who are established here. So it's like I just got to find those brands that I'm not trying to poach anybody else's clients, in other words.
yeah, if they come to you, that's
It's true.
something happened that does not really. It's good for you to know what happened if you can find out, just to make sure that you don't do the same thing. But um, that's not your problem. I think when I was in the beginning stages where it was just me and a couple other people, we had to pick and choose as well because the limiting factor was people and equipment and processes. We couldn't really do multiple events, like more than 2 or 3 at a time. So we were strategic. We would leave dates open just in case, we had a corporate client or something that would come in but now we're at a point where it doesn't take much for us to, just do another event. So,
Yeah.
so that's why we'll take anybody that fits in our price range at this point, unless we fired them in the past. Then we avoid them because they're such a headache. But
Oh
yeah,
man, I have a few of those too. I call it if they really want to hire me, I call it the pain in the ass tax, to have them
yep,
hire me again.
yeah. We usually add a zero and then they don't reply. It's pretty nice. Multiply it by
Exactly.
10.
That's right.
Yeah, we've had people like that for sure. But overall, I mean, our clients are really good for the most part. Like sometimes they think that we just know photo booths and we don't know events, and it's like we've done thousands of events at this point. Like, trust us when we
Yeah.
say certain things, and don't throw a curveball at us day of that, a random cardboard cutout of something without telling us, and then it's too reflective for our flash or something like that. Um,
Yeah.
because most of our staff know how to handle things like that, but sometimes they don't, or they're panicked, or something else happened where, they'll get on with our tech support to try to fix it, but it's not as smooth as it could have been. So, um, yeah, sometimes they don't treat you like you're part of the team. They treat you like you're just the help, and that doesn't make for the best client, in my opinion.
No, definitely not. And and that's another thing too, like I've mentioned in the past is when you get up to those corporate activations and those brand activations where you're putting in bids and things, it gets really competitive
Mm-hmm.
and intimidating probably for people who are just starting out. But you know, uh, those are the types of things like what if you book, say, a wedding or even a employee appreciation event on the Super Bowl, and then you realize that you could have maybe had a huge Super Bowl activation with the NFL or, you know, some soccer league or whatever it is. It's like you never know what that feeling is until it happens.
Oh yeah.
Where you miss out on a ton of money. It's like, oh my gosh. So that's why I feel like I'm being more strategic on this end, is because I am in a bigger city, or a more wealthier city, I'll say.
One
So
thing
yeah,
that I know now that I didn't know when I was a couple years in was just the white label opportunity. If you're overbooked, hire someone around town, or even fly someone in if it's that big.
yeah,
Being part of like the Booth Cruise group is amazing because you have all these resources and people that would come and help you. So, I mean, we would be expensive because we're not there, but if you were booked and then someone big came, you could say, hey, what would I charge this at to get you out here, or something like that. If there's no one in your area that had the product or something, let's say. I got out some work because that's daunting and scary first few times because you just don't know how to coordinate it all. But now we do it all the time. It's just like we have a process for it and it works really well. So,
love it.
yeah, I mean, I think just like everything, you start small and then you learn how to do things differently and it snowballs and you grow and grow and grow. So for us, that's my goal. Like, I just want to see how far I can take this, or my team can take it, really. How big can we get? What other products can we offer? How can we redefine events? That's what Feel Famous is about. Like, that goes way beyond the photo booth there. What type of marketing, what type of AI can we do? Just all of the fun things. And MiHi, my company, is a tool to explore those things and give them to our clients. And so I don't know, it's fun. Like, we always, my leadership team always like kind of bounces ideas back and forth, and we try to always push the limits to like our limiting beliefs. It's not something I could do by myself anymore, that's for sure.
Yeah.
There's too many things out there now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's all I have. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
I don't think so.
All right.
Good questions. If
Thank you.
you have
Can you
anything
talk,
specific,
before we go, I do want to say, can you talk a little bit about MiHi? Just like how, what it is that you do, where you're at, and all that, so that people can come follow you and get in touch. You are probably the most communicative person I know, because everybody I know who has ever asked you a question or says that you're the most helpful. You are, like, everybody loves you.
thank you. You're making me blush.
You're welcome. It's true
I
though.
mean, I love it. That's the thing. Like, I
Yeah.
love to talk about it. I'm a nerd at heart, so I nerd out on all of this stuff. If you ask me something that I don't know, I'll probably want to figure it out because I could probably benefit from it too. So I do believe in what you give, you get, at least twofold, and that's always happened for me. So happy to share all kinds of things that I have, the code of conduct, all of that stuff. But yeah, MiHi's been around for almost 10 years now. We do photo video activations all around the country for big brands. We go on sporting tours. We do trade shows and conferences. We've produced virtual events. We've also produced live events. In Denver, we offer AV, virtual reality, and a bunch of other fun things to do as well. So that's, it allows us to explore things here in our city, and then if it's something that we really love, then we can take it nationally. A lot of our marketing, or sorry, a lot of our budget goes towards innovation. So way too much money in a lot of people's eyes, but we do it because we love it. That's where we want to spend our money. So we're innovating, we're experimenting. We just hired a software company to help us create a few things that we think are crazy, but we figured let's try it. And once we start working in software, our brains and our imagination is just going to keep going. So software is our next big thing. And then after that, it's probably going to be fabrication. That way we can build something and then program that something and make a wonderful experience for our Feel Famous events. We're going to take Feel Famous across the country. I don't know how we're going to monetize it. We have like a handful of ideas to do it. So that's on our 3-year plan right now. And yeah, we all love events, and Photo booths are our bread and butter, but it's allowed us to explore other things, and we're all super happy to be working on the team.
That's so awesome. I'm excited to see it grow, especially taking Feel Famous on the road. Do you have cities that you're thinking of?
So we have a guy in Vegas who is doing a grand opening next June, and he wants us to throw that party there.
Cool.
So we might do it there next year. We just hired a CMO for marketing. So she's going to start looking at our numbers and our data of where we get our leads, what the cities look like, where we should go. We'll probably open one in a big city as a pop-up and sell tickets. That's like one of our like ideas, because I don't know if they have them in Napa, but in Denver, there's always some super themed pop-up. Like they had the Bridgerton experience, and there was like one or two photo
that sounds so cool.
activations. Yeah, and it's just like you walk into a venue that's dolled up, and it has some themed drinks, a couple photo activations, and boom, that's it. Well, you've seen our event. Like we've got 30 photo activations, and it's all really like it's like a pop-up on steroids, is what I like to say. So
Yeah, pretty
we're
much.
working with some people, and yeah, hopefully we can take that on the road soon.
That's awesome. Well, okay, I have one more question. What kind of famous people have been in your booth?
Oh geez, I'm gonna draw a blank. Not a ton that I'm aware of. I don't know.
Not?
I couldn't even tell you.
I was just curious because we were saying Feel Famous, so I was like, I wonder. I actually had.
Yeah.
Have you heard of baseball bananas, the Savannah Bananas?
Mm-mm.
Oh, they're like a traveling baseball team that dances while they play baseball. They're actually a AAA, so people get
Cool.
pulled up from there. But they're just kind of really taking off. But they're called the Savannah Bananas, and 3 of them were in my booth on Sunday.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
we
pretty
do
fun.
events for like sports teams.
Oh
So
yeah.
so like Broncos are in our booths and stuff. But I don't follow sports, so like I never know like who's who
Yeah.
and stuff. So I'm just like, man,
You
whatever.
probably had tons of football players for
Yeah,
sure. How funny.
definitely. I think The Rock was in one of ours when we did a tour, and he was actually in Boulder. So that's one. There we go.
I like it. That's
Yeah.
a big one too. You
Yeah,
had The
we had to
Rock
zoom the
in
camera
Boulder.
out.
But I'm such a nerd.
Same.
Oh goodness. I know. All right. Well, like you said, we could probably chat forever, but we have already reached an hour and 12 minutes. So I'm going to let you go back to your job. I appreciate you taking the time to answer all of these questions and to speak about MiHi and everything. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, if you have any other follow-up questions, you or your audience, feel free to reach out. I can give you my contact info so you can email me, and happy to help whoever. Like I said on the podcast, I really want to help elevate the industry. So I'm an open book.
Yes. I'll definitely have you back on. I know all of our friends are going to be like, when you have him back on, ask him this, and this. So I'll have tons of questions for you because everybody goes to Jeff Libby for stuff.
Yeah, we can talk about AI. I'd really love nerding out about that. That would be a fun one. Take it way beyond AI renderings of like photo booth renderings and stuff, but we're really learning how to use it in the business in all kinds of ways.
Cool.
We can talk about operational processes. That's really where I spent years to really iron that out, to make sure that we have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C, and it never has to come back to me, which is nice. So yeah, marketing is fun. Yeah, we'll talk about anything. I love it. I love it all.
Let's do it. All right, cool. Well, Layla definitely said that she'd like to join us on a podcast next time. So we'll have to coordinate for all 3 of us.
Yeah, let's do it. That would be so fun.
Yeah, I think so too.